Morning troops, another day, another river. It's a lot brighter than our last video, isn't it? I mean, that was a real grey, murky afternoon. But we caught, so we're back up and running on the fish 2024. And today, dead baiting for pike on a river, big river. And I'm after some big pike today. Me thinking behind today's session was there's a cold snap due in, and the rivers this river hasn't been fished much this year. Obviously it's just been in flood, it's just been unfishable, as most places have. Now there's a few drains that have been fishable and people have been on them, so they've seen a bit of bait. The pike I had in the last video had quite a few lice on it, so that was holed up, even though the conditions weren't in the water per se, weren't that bad. Here, it's chucking it through a bit. Not overly, it's 2-3 foot higher than it normally would be. So I'm fishing in about 12 foot of water. And my normal tactic when I first arrive, don't make too much disturbance on the bank and flick my baits into the margins. That's where the pike are going to be first thing in the morning, along those reed beds. So it's a glorious morning, the sun's shining, it's blue skies, set fair for the day. I think it's going to be cold. Apparently the wind's going to change round, it's going to be a northerly, and it's going to be quite bitter by the end of the day, but I don't mind, that don't bother me none. You know, I'm more than happy to sit out in the cold. And today I'm after something big. Oh, you know, it's one of those sessions for me today where I'm gonna be quite content to sit tight and wait for a big girl to come along. And you know, because they are in here, and as I say, they haven't seen much baiting this autumn winter. I'm hoping that just before the cold snap they go on the munch and look for some food to see them through. So that's me thinking. I say I've got 3 rods out. Right hand rod is me running water paternostered rig with a roach about 3 ounces. That's about 18 inches off the bottom. The middle rod is a static dead, you know, traditional static dead pike rig, and that's also got a roach on it about 2 or 3 ounces. And then my left hand rod is another one of my running water paternoster rigs, and that has a sprat on it. So we've got them in the margins. I haven't had a instant hit, been here 15-20 minutes, nothing's happened yet. Sometimes it's almost instantaneous. Not today, but as I say, I'm hoping for something big today, so I'm gonna stick at it. The only difference is it's pumping through a little bit, so at some point today I'm going to bring in my middle rod, change that rig completely, and I'm going to trot a dead bait through the river for a couple of hours, see if that has any joy. So that way it doesn't matter how far or how close I have it, I can trot it through about 5 or 6, 7 foot all along the river and see if any pike take it. But at the moment, static dead approach. I say I'm after a big girl. You know, we're due one, and the biggest so far this season's only been 17, so it's well overdue. But it's a glorious morning, isn't it? I love it when it's like this. Well, what's cliche, typical pike weather. Well, there was a little bit of a frost underfoot, not much, but it's lovely. Let's catch some pike. Well, here's the swim. To my left hand side I've got this reed bed all the way along. 20 metres or so, 30 metres maybe. I don't think so, yeah, 20 metres long. So I've got that whole length of that reed bed to come in tight to if I want to. At the moment, I'm a couple of rod lengths off it. There's that left hand rod. So that's in. Got my stop knot set at 14 foot. and with the toe of the water it's sort of bang on, so I'd say the true depth there is about 12.5 foot. My middle rod, you can see that's a right close margin rod. Again, that's in 12 foot of water, that's a static dead. I've got that in close. And it's very, very sunny, the sun's low. I hope you can see that right hand rod, that's just off that reed bed. So that reed bed runs all the way along. So I can come close, go far, go out. That's quite, I mean, that rod I can cover a lot of water with. At the moment, it's, I say, it's a margin rod, it's close in. It's glorious, isn't it? Look at that. Let's catch some pike. Well, troops, been fishing 2 hours. The sun's in my eyes, stinking terrible. I've got left the sunglasses in the work bag, so it'll be one of those squinting days there, because it's a glorious morning now. It says it's only 2 degrees, but it feels a lot warmer in the sunshine. We've moved the baits about a bit. We've boosted them with oil. It's not instigated any action yet, so I've moved my right hand rod and my middle rod further out, and my left hand rod I've brought closer in. See if different positions pay any dividends. But as we speak, there's plenty of activity. There's plenty of silverfish topping. I've seen bream rolling. I've seen a few fry scattering. So there, there's fish around. It's a glorious morning. Just repositioned the baits. So my left hand rod now has half a sardine on rather than a sprat. Sprat was looking a bit manky, so I thought, I sodded it. So I've just gone slightly bigger bait, half a sardine. The other 2 rods are the same. As I say, I've gone a bit further out with 2 of them and brought one closer in. My last video, God, I was very down, weren't I, about single hooks. It just goes to show how fragile sometimes your confidence is, especially with new things. I mean, fishing with trebles for 40 odd years, close to 50 years, you're fishing with trebles, and then all of a sudden you change 3 seasons in. And this conversion rate wise, this has been my best season so far. So the paternoster rigs are now the fish every time. Static deads, they're hit and miss still. There's something about them that the single hooks, they're just not converting at the same rate. And obviously it's got something to do with the way the pike picks up a bait or attacks a bait. So if it's static dead on the ground and then pike are picking it up and going with it, that single hook is very rarely in the pike's mouth or anywhere near the pike's mouth. So when you wind down, it's 9 out of 10 times it's fresh air, the way I see it. And then paternoster rigs, where they're slightly off the deck, not much, only 18 inches, the pike seem to attack them more and wolf them down, and then every time the circle hook is in the mouth and you hook, and you're converting the run. So something to look at. You're always learning when you're fishing. If you think you know it all and you think you're an expert, your catch rates will plummet. You've got to be learning all the time, trying new things, trying new ideas. End of last season I was out, weren't filming, and I had a good fish, a really good fish on, and the crimp failed. You know, I had a really good fish on. Wouldn't like to say what it was, but it was good. And I've been playing it a while and then just gone. I thought, what the? So I reeled in and all my rigs there, I thought, what? And the crimp had failed. So this year I've gone over to knottable traces. So that's what I've been trying this season. That's, you know, that's my learning curve. You know, I've used crimps all my life, been making my own traces most of my life, you know what I mean? And I could probably count the amount of times a crimp has failed on one hand, you know, over 50 years, but one's too many for me. So now this season I've been trying the knottable materials, and they seem to be working. I'll show you where they are there. These are the couple I use. Yeah, so they're the couple I've been using at the moment. So we're going to see how we get on. I've had no problems with them. They don't let me down. The finer one, that kinks quite a lot. So, you know, on my paternoster rigs, I change them quite regular. The coated stuff is a lot more durable. So that's my learning this season. You know, you've got to always be trying to, the way I see it, you've got to be trying to change things up, revolutionise your fishing. There's always, doesn't matter what aspect of fishing it is, there's always loads of different innovations. Some of them are just gimmicks, and I mean, but others, genuinely, people are quite clever out there, and they produce stuff and kit and rigs that work for all different species. I don't see why pike shouldn't be any different. Now I know trebles are tried and tested, and the single hooks for me is a step towards hopefully making up better rigs that are more fish friendly and efficient. Now I know there's a lot of runs I've had over the last couple of years that if I had trebles I would have probably hooked them and landed them, but that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes you get a run and you think, woohoo, brilliant, and you strike to set your trebles and you strike into thin air. But on the whole, it is a reliable system. It's tried and tested over decades and decades and decades. But sometimes you've got to try and change things up. So that's the reason I use the single hooks. I'm looking to make my fishing more efficient and more fish friendly. But I say the last video I was almost in tears, weren't I? So here we go. Let's try and catch some. Well, that's the importance of moving your baits around on a regular basis. Look at that. Probably didn't even need the forceps for that one. Well, troops, shows you the importance of moving your baits around. 5 minutes after repositioning the rods, and we're away. First fish of the session. It's a double. Very pale fish. It's been holed up in, obviously. Not much light penetrating the water for the last couple of months, so it's very, very pale. Its natural pigments and colours are not coming out, but he's a beauty, or she's a beauty. Let's get her back. Big double. Well, it's a double, not big double. Calm down, Mark. It's a double. So we're off the mark. Let's get her back. So we're off and running. That was a static dead bait, not on my paternoster rigs, and it was a half a sardine, and I'd only repositioned it, not even 5 minutes, so it's goes to show the importance of repositioning your baits on a regular basis if you're going to stay in one swim. Obviously if you're roving it doesn't apply, but it's quite treacherous down there walking around. So, you know, you could be quite easily persuaded not to go down there that often, because, you know, in this flood condition still, very, very slippery underfoot. And the more you walk around, obviously the slipperier it gets. But that's the rig, so it's a sliding float, drilled bullet, trace about 18 inches, and it's half a sardine, the circle hook, hooked through the snout. I find that's the best place for me for converting me runs. And it was, I say, it was only 5 minutes out there, and it had it away. And there was no doubt it was on. You know, I mean, it took it with confidence. They're very pale fish. They've been holed up. It's been flood conditions now for a month, since November, hasn't it? So there's not much colour in them, but it was a nice double. I got a bit excited and called it a big double, didn't I? But we're off the mark. So what I'm going to do with this now, before I cast it out, I'm just going to inject some oil into it, give it a bit of extra attractant, and then off we go. Just reposition the rods again. Left hand rod. Small roach, paternostered, again nailed, bang on. There she is, look at that's the business end. We love a mug shot. That's a good little guy. It's not a double, high single, but they all count on a day like this. 2-0 to Mark. We've had 2 today. Let's get some more. Let's get this beauty back. Well, once again, 5 minutes after repositioning the rods, and it goes. Oh, it weren't even 5 minutes. My left hand rod, which was the one it went on, the paternostered small roach, I repositioned first. By the time I'd got to the 3rd rod and just repositioned it and put it in the rod rest, that left hand rod went. So literally less than 5 minutes. So not as big as the other one, you know, it weren't a double. You know, it's £7 ish. Still a jack, but we're doing all right. We've had two, and onwards and upwards. So that was on a paternostered rig. I'll show you in a second. Let me just get this baited up and then I'll show you. That's it. Still got the flu. Still coughing like a good one. Congestion's quite bad with it as well. But it's a glorious day to be out. Fresh air does you better than being stuck indoors feeling sorry for yourself. So we're out, we're catching fish. That's two. And here we are, it's with paternostered roach again. Hooked through the snout. There's my weak link. Sliding float. That sticks out like that. Fish is already pumped full of oil. Let's get it out there. Well, another day's drawing to a close, troops. It's getting there now. It's almost dark. It's been well, every day on the bank's a good day, so it hasn't been a bad day. It hasn't been a wasted opportunity. Real fishing, real life. It's not like these highly polished magazine articles or highly edited videos that are shot over 3 or 4 days but make it look like one day. It's real life fishing, and in real life fishing you've got to put in the hard work and the long hours to get your rewards. And today we ain't got it. We've had two fish. We've had one double and another one. So we've had two fish, so you can't grumble. I mean, you can't have a good old moan about it. It is what it is. You go fishing, as we all do, on your only day off for the week or whatever, or when you've only got a bit of spare time in between family commitments, whatever it may be, ill health. It could be any reason why you're not on the bank. And then when you finally do get out there, you may not always land on a perfect conditions, perfect stretch of river, perfect lake, whatever it may be, whatever species you're fishing for. You got to take the rough with the smooth. And I say we've had two fish today, so it's not all been doom and gloom. And so far this autumn stroke winter, this pike season, we've only blanked 2 or 3 times, so it's not been as harsh as last season, but I haven't had as many fish or as bigger fish as last season, so we've still got plenty of time. You know what I mean? It's mid-January. We've got, well, I've only got, because I only pike fish on rivers and drains, so I've only got another 8 weeks. That's all. It goes quick. 8 weeks left of the season for me, you know. Come March, I don't normally go the last week because it's a bit hectic, a bit like a circus. So normally it's about the 10th is my last trip of the year or the season, and that's so. Yeah, we've only got 8 weeks. It's not long at all. And you know, with work, family, that could be only 8 more trips. So keep looking at them floats, hoping that one of them's gonna go zzz. But it's very mild. It's quite a nice evening. Plenty of midges around though, I've noticed. So you know, don't normally see them when it's cold, do you? So it's very treacherous underfoot, very muddy. I really hoped that we'd finish off the session with a biggie. You know, that was the whole point of today, sitting in one spot waiting for a big fish, but it still might come. The only problem is the low light levels really play havoc with the filming. You know, I haven't got professional lighting and all that malarkey. As you saw in the last video, once it gets grey and murky and misty, you know, it's very, very hard to get quality footage. But it's not dark yet. It's not it's not over till the fat bloke sings. So we're going to persevere, going to keep going. And once again, it's been a pleasure to have your company. I really do mean that. Thanks very much for the views and all the subscriptions. Keep all the comments coming, keep the likes coming. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. You never know, you might go through my back catalogue and see some damn good fish as well. So we're going to crack on. It ain't over yet. We're going to still see if we can catch some more fish. So it's dead baiting for pike. You got bait in the water, you got a chance.